Okay, I wanted to be organized and planned for you guys just in case you wanted to pull from this. So I wanted to write out everything in case you didn't understand my dialect when I'm talking. So really quickly, the apps I use on the iPad Mini 3 is Google Classroom, specifically to share things with students. Google Drive, same thing, to share with students. Especially using the links through Google Drive. So make sure when you use links through Google Drive that you make it accessible for your students, because if you don't, they will have to sign in or they may not be able to open it at all. And then IXL.com is really just for extra practice and to answer questions, which is really important for students, especially for remote learning. And then YouTube screen recording. And I want it to be known that with YouTube, all I do is just record actual YouTube videos to insert in my lessons. So I'll pull from whatever YouTube videos that I like the content of, and I'll just record whatever that video is saying and then throw it in the middle of one of my lessons. And then for PixArt, and I actually forgot to put the S on the end of Pic, so it's PICS. ART, PixArt, if you're going to download it. And I just use that for art. And the art is just for my students' entertainment. It's nothing really academic about it. It's just to entertain my students. So I do use a lot of PixArt because I throw cartoon characters and characters that I make up into my lessons. And then FlowCapillary, I'll show you more in detail what I do with FlowCapillary, but it's the same thing kind of that I do with YouTube and IXL. Okay, I had to switch to my iPad Mini 3 because I didn't have Google Classroom on my Mini 4. And that's okay, I don't want it on there. So after I have the link, it's already uploaded onto Google Drive, so it doesn't really matter what device I'm using. All I have to do is go into Google Live, and then all of the stuff that I uploaded from the other device will be in Google Drive under one of these folders that I'm using. So, for example, I'm on the other device right now, and I'm locating the exact same video. So what I'm going to do is copy the link, and then I'm going to go out, and then I'm going to go into the Google Classroom that I have all of my students joined in. And then all I'm going to do in my Google Classroom is I'm going to put the link inside of one of my groups. And right now I'm using a group with nobody in it so that you won't see any of my students' names, but it's still the same procedure. So all I have to do is go to share something with my class, and then I like to put it as an attachment link because it looks different, and then put it right here. Just paste it there, click on add, and it's going to all my students. And then you do have to give it a little name, and I'm just going to say addition. And then just click on the send button, and voila. Any of my students, when they come into their Google Classroom, they'll see it right here, and then they'll just click on it. So that's really, really important for me. And for this device, that's all I do with Google Classroom. But I do more with Google Classroom on the desktop. But for this device, I keep it simple. So when I'm on this iPad Mini 3, then I'm just putting links into Google Classroom, nothing more. And then another app that I've been using a lot that I really want to go over on this device specifically is the IXL. And what I've been doing with IXL is I've just been using Recorded to record my screen, and then answering questions on IXL, and then using metacognition so the students can hear my thinking process as I go. So that's really important for my students in special education, and really it's important for any students when you're teaching to talk about how you're coming to the conclusions or coming to solutions of math problems or reading problems. So I'm not going to go through any because my free trial is up. So you do have to actually pay for IXL. So your subscription has expired, and it does cost quite a bit. So I've just been doing free trials, and I've recorded enough so I don't have to do any more free trials with IXL right now because I got enough for the entire school year recorded. And I did a lot of math reading and a lot of writing. So they do have writing. And what I did is, let me go to second grade, and you can go to different grades. And it's better to have the app than to actually be using the internet. So it's better to do this on a tablet or an iPad. So this is what I did for writing. I would go down here and then come and do contractions, punctuation, and things like this. So it just helps to have some extra practice for students. And during these IXL lessons that I record, the students really just listen. So they don't really have to get a piece of paper and write down things. But I do try to challenge them and ask them questions during the metacognition when I'm talking about my thinking. Okay, the next app that I use is, let's see, I'm trying to go through order of importance, but I really just want to get into some of my art apps. But I'm going to wait to the end to get into my art apps because obviously those are not the most important, but I like them. I guess I'll talk about YouTube. Okay, so YouTube is important for me just because I do a lot of screen recording in YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. Look at all these YouTube accounts I have. You're about to see. Watch very closely. You guys see this? I am a big time YouTuber. So one of the things that I do is I go into, let's see, my teacher account. This is through the school right here. When I'm doing my lessons, I go through my teacher account and I pick a video that I want my students to watch and I just screen record it. And that way the students don't actually have to go onto YouTube because our district blocked YouTube for students. So if a student is not using one of their own home devices, if they're using a school computer, it's going to actually block YouTube when they type in an SID number and stuff like that, because I do teach elementary and they're under the age of 13. And if you're under the age of 13, you can't have access to the actual YouTube. So this is how I get them to actually see YouTube videos. So for example, I'll click on this and then obviously I'll edit out the ads because there's a lot of ads in YouTube, but basically I can set, so when I'm doing this, I can actually set down this iPad mini. I can set it somewhere else and I can go do something on another device. Like I could get on my iPad mini 5 and then do a whole lesson while this video is playing, and however long of the duration of the video that I want the students to see. Most of the time, I'm not doing the entire video. I'm just doing the portion that I think is really important for my students. So it's up to you how you want to record from YouTube. But I think it's a safer way than actually uploading everything to YouTube, because obviously I'm a YouTuber, so it would make sense for me to upload everything to YouTube. But then again, it wouldn't make sense because my students can't access that. Simple and plain. Okay, another thing that I want to show you guys, another app that I want to show you guys on the iPad before I get off the iPad, is some art apps. So I guess I could start with PixArt. And this is just to make the lesson funner for my students. As you guys can see, I use a lot of cartoon characters and I cartoonize myself, do a lot of fun stuff so that the students can be happy when they open up a lesson, because online learning is not the best for students. It's just not as exciting as going to class. So let me just show you guys something that I would actually do. So I would take like a picture like this and then just do things to it. I already finished this, but I will basically free crop it, make it transparent so that I can add it into the live board. It make it seem like I'm standing there talking to the students. So I actually took a real picture of myself, and then I put the green afro, because during the school year I was joking with my students with this green afro character, which is actually my face. So to my students, this is hilarious. Just seeing this is hilarious to my students. So I try to throw that in the middle of one of my math lessons. Okay, another critical app that I use and that I was using during the school year, It's called FlowCapillary, and it gets the students a little more excited about learning, and it gives them multiple means of expression, multiple means of exposure to different strategies and skills and concepts. So FlowCapillary, we have this through our district, so we don't have to pay for it. So what I do is I just start my recorded screen recorder. I go into FlowCapillary, and then whatever topic or strategy I'm working on for that week, I go into it. So say we're doing multiplication and division, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and say we're doing multiplying by 5 and 10. Then what I'll do is I'll actually do what I do in the actual classroom. I don't really change much for my online learning. So what I'll do is I'll just play this video. I'll make sure the whole screen, and then I'll change the original speed to slowest because I do have students who have slow processing time.
Come on, listen up, my friends. I'ma tell you.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll screen record that entire video. I never skip those videos because those are really important and my students get a lot out of those. So after it's done, I'll wait till it goes all the way to the end, and then I won't say anything during the video. I won't. I'll be totally quiet during the whole video. After the video, I walk my students through vocab cards, and this is where I will talk about some of the vocabulary of that math lesson, and I'll even draw a picture. I'll read that, and I try to be animated. I try to rap a little bit because my students are used to me being silly. So I just keep everything consistent with my personality and with the procedures that I do in the classroom. So this is what we would usually do in the classroom after we watch the video. We would actually go over the vocab cards, and then I would have us either do the vocab game as a formative assessment, the quiz, and we'll do all of this as a group. So this is totally normal for my students. And then every now and then we will do the lyric lab where I actually create a rap with my students and we listen to me rap it out, and they love doing that. So since I've been teaching remotely, I have done all of them. I've done the vocab game, I've done the quizzes, and I've done the lyric lab. That's really important for me with FlowCapillary to go through all of those. Don't just have the students watch the video because they may not take anything from it. You want to actually make sure they know the vocabulary words associated with it, and then they answer some questions about what they just watched. Okay, and that's what I use and do with FlowCapillary. So I'm about done with everything I do on the tablets. And just so you know, I'm doing this on my Mini 3 because it doesn't require the Apple Pencil. So all I have to do is record the screen.